There's a moment, sharp, electric, when the mask slips. When a bad person realizes you see them, really see them. You're no longer buying the charm, the flattery, the fake concern. You've caught the manipulation in motion. And now, they know you know. That's when everything changes. Their tactics shift from sneaky to surgical, from sweet to strategic. You're not imagining it. You've stepped into psychological warfare. But here's the truth. You don't have to react with rage or fear. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, faced betrayal, backstabbing, and mind games at the highest levels of power. They mastered the art of keeping their soul intact in the middle of chaos. In this video, we'll break down 6 things bad people do when they know they've been exposed, and how to meet each one with stoic clarity, strength, and calm. This is about protecting your peace, owning your awareness, and refusing to be played. If you've ever felt the sting of being used, or the power of seeing through it, this one's for you. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to keep this kind of wisdom in your corner. Let's get into it. Number 1. They try to flip the narrative. The moment a manipulator realizes you see through them, they don't back down. They double down. One of the first things they'll do is try to flip the narrative. They sense the illusion has collapsed. The mask is off, and instead of owning up, they scramble to rewrite the story. Suddenly, you're not the one who caught on. You're the one who's overreacting. You're too sensitive, too emotional, or making things up. They play the victim, hoping to confuse you, guilt you, or make you question your own clarity. This is not just denial, it's strategy. It's about flipping the power dynamic by making you doubt yourself, while they reclaim control over how others see the situation. It's not just about gaslighting you, it's about discrediting your insight before it gains traction. This tactic works because it hits you where you're vulnerable. Your desire to be fair, to not jump to conclusions, to not seem like the bad guy. And let's be real, most good people don't want conflict. They want resolution. Manipulators use that to their advantage. They bank on your emotional intelligence, your empathy, your hesitation to judge too quickly. That's where the danger creeps in. When you start defending what you know just to be heard, just to be believed. Here's where Stoicism offers something rare and powerful. A way out that doesn't require emotional warfare. The Stoics weren't passive. They were deliberate. They understood the value of truth, but also the cost of constantly trying to prove it. Marcus Aurelius didn't walk around arguing with liars. He committed to living in a way that made lies powerless. He believed in clarity through character, not confrontation. In his words, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I'll gladly change. But if not, I'll keep walking my path." That's the mindset you need when someone tries to twist your reality. Instead of scrambling to correct the narrative, step back. Let them talk. Let them spin their version. You don't need to compete with lies. You just need to keep showing up with consistency, calm, and truth. It's not silence. It's strategy. When you stop engaging in their drama, you remove the oxygen from their fire. You rob them of reaction, which is what they feed on. That doesn't mean it won't sting. It will. Being misunderstood hurts. Being blamed for seeing clearly is frustrating. But Stoicism teaches us that emotional pain isn't proof something's wrong. It's proof that something matters. And when something matters, it's worth protecting. Not with fury, but with focus. You hold your ground by remembering this. You are not responsible for other people's stories. You are responsible for how you live yours. Let them call you dramatic. Let them call you paranoid. Those who know your character will see the truth over time, and those who don't were never going to anyway. This is only the first move in the playbook. When flipping the narrative fails or gets too exhausting, they often shift to something even more unsettling, pretending nothing ever happened. That's next. Let's talk about what it means when someone tries to erase the damage with silence, and why that's not peace, but another form of control. Number 2, they pretend nothing happened. After the mask falls and the manipulator sees that you've caught on, some don't lash out. They go quiet, not in retreat, but in pretense. Suddenly, they act like nothing ever happened. No apology, no accountability, just a carefully placed, "Hey, how are you?" or a casual comment on your social media. They try to slide back into your life like everything's normal. This isn't awkwardness. It's not denial. It's calculated. It's a test. They're watching. They want to see if you'll play along, if you'll engage like before, laugh like before, let your guard down like before. They want to know if their image is still intact in your eyes. And if it is, if you respond as if nothing happened, then they win. Not because they've changed, but because you've wavered. This tactic works because it hits you where you're vulnerable. Your desire to be fair, to not jump to conclusions, to not seem like the bad guy. And let's be real. Most good people don't want conflict. They want resolution. Manipulators use that to their advantage. They bank on your emotional intelligence, your empathy, your hesitation to judge too quickly. That's where the danger creeps in. When you start defending what you know just to be heard, just to be believed. Here's where Stoicism offers something rare and powerful. A way out that doesn't require emotional warfare. The Stoics weren't passive. They were deliberate. They understood the value of truth, but also the cost of constantly trying to prove it. Marcus Aurelius didn't walk around arguing with liars. He committed to living in a way that made lies powerless. He believed in clarity through character, not confrontation. In his words, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I'll gladly change. But if not, I'll keep walking my path." That's the mindset you need when someone tries to twist your reality. Emotional distance isn't cold, it's wise. When someone who's hurt you returns with warmth but no accountability, you don't need to slam the door, but you do need to stand in it. Don't rush to re-engage. Watch. Let their actions speak, not just their words. That's what discernment looks like. It's not bitterness, it's not stubbornness. It's choosing not to be fooled by the comfort of familiarity. And if you feel guilty for not accepting their sudden friendliness, remember, forgiveness is about releasing the weight, not the wisdom. You can let go of resentment without pretending the harm never happened. You can move forward without inviting someone back to the same place in your life. The Stoics would tell you that your peace is too valuable to gamble on appearances. You don't owe anyone your trust. You owe yourself your sanity. This phase, the pretending, can be more unsettling than outright conflict. It plays on your empathy. It tempts you to override your instincts in favor of social harmony. But harmony built on silence isn't peace. It's performance. And when the performance fails to bring you back into line, when your quiet boundaries speak louder than words, that's often when manipulators take the next step. If charm and pretense don't work, they turn to sabotage, but not out in the open. No, they go where they think you can't hear them, behind closed doors. Let's look at what happens when exposure doesn't humble them but makes them hostile in secret. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. Number 3, they try to undermine you behind closed doors. When someone toxic realizes you've seen through their act, it shakes them. Their control relied on your confusion, your doubt, your silence. Now that's gone, and what replaces it is fear. Fear of being exposed, rejected, or made irrelevant. That fear often turns into something more insidious, sabotage, but not the obvious kind. They won't confront you directly. They won't argue to your face. Instead, they strike from behind your back, where they feel safe. This is where the whispers begin. Subtle distortions of your words, misrepresentations of your decisions, and comments disguised as concern but designed to plant doubt in others. I'm just worried about them. Or, they've been acting differently lately. They poison the well from the shadows, trying to make others question your integrity while keeping their own image clean. It's a performance, and in their rewritten script, you're cast as the villain. What makes this tactic so damaging is that you often don't know it's happening until it's already affected how people see you. And when you do find out, the natural impulse is to defend yourself, to fight back. You want to clear your name. You want others to see the truth. But here's the danger. Once you step into that arena, you've already lost, because now you're playing by their rules. This is where Stoicism offers an unshakable strategy. Seneca wrote that the true sign of a strong mind is the ability to rise above insults, not because you're weak, but because you refuse to be controlled by them. You can't out-talk someone who's committed to twisting your image. What you can do is ensure your actions remain consistent and grounded, so that over time, the lies fall apart. Live in alignment with your values. Eventually, the gap between who you are and what they claim becomes obvious. That doesn't mean you stay silent out of fear. It means you speak and act with precision. Respond with clarity when needed, but don't get dragged into a war over reputation. The Stoics believed that reputation is never fully in our control. What is in our control? Our character, our choices, the way we carry ourselves when no one is watching. If you're being undermined in private, let your public life reflect the truth. Let your presence contradict the rumors. Let time do what words cannot. Truth, unlike gossip, doesn't rush. It reveals itself in patterns, not in sound bites. You may lose some people, those too quick to judge, too eager to believe what's convenient. But what you keep is far more valuable. Your self-respect, your peace, and the ability to look in the mirror without flinching. Don't waste energy trying to control what others think when you already know what's real. But be ready, because when subtle sabotage fails and you don't come crawling back, some manipulators shift their strategy again. This time, they try a different angle. Not destruction, but deception. Suddenly, they've changed. They seem more understanding, more kind, more self-aware. But ask yourself, is it growth or bait? That's what we'll explore next. Let's talk about how some people use the illusion of change, not to grow, but to regain control. Number 4, they suddenly change to win you back. When direct tactics fail, when the lies don't hold, the charm falls flat, and the sabotage backfires, some manipulators reach for a more deceptive tool, the illusion of transformation. They don't confront anymore. They don't deny. Instead, they pivot. Suddenly, they're softer, more self-aware. They say the right things, offer unexpected support, or even apologize, something they never would have done before. But if you look closely, it's not real change. It's a strategy. They're not evolving. They're adapting. And what they want isn't healing. It's access. This can be incredibly confusing, especially when you've wanted to believe they were capable of change. Maybe you've even hoped for it. You see them being helpful, present, saying things like, "I've been thinking a lot lately," or "I want to do better." And for a moment, it feels like maybe things could be different. That maybe the version of them you were hoping for is finally here. But this is where clarity matters more than hope. Because manipulative people don't evolve by growing. They evolve by recalibrating what works on you. If guilt doesn't work, charm will. If that fails, they'll try remorse. Here's where Stoicism steps in, not to kill your hope, but to sharpen it. Marcus Aurelius warned against becoming like those who've harmed us. He wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That means we don't respond to emotional bait with emotional decisions. The Stoic doesn't lash out, doesn't rush in, doesn't melt at the first sign of a changed tone. They observe. They track patterns, not moments. Because real change isn't loud. It's quiet. It doesn't arrive with an announcement. It shows up day after day in consistency, humility, and self-correction. And most importantly, it doesn't demand instant trust. I once watched someone close to me fall into this trap after months of being devalued and emotionally manipulated. The moment she pulled away, everything changed. On the surface, the same person who once mocked her boundaries began praising her strength. They offered support, talked about going to therapy, even used language that mirrored what she had said during their arguments. Word for word. It felt sincere. For a short while, she softened. She let them back in slowly. But not long after, the patterns resumed. Subtle criticisms returned. Boundaries were pushed. The remorse had been a performance, just long enough to regain emotional access. She wasn't welcomed back with honesty. She was baited. This is what makes fake change dangerous. It's not dramatic. It's calculated. It gives you just enough hope to let your guard down. And once that happens, the cycle quietly resets. The Stoic approach is to honor your instincts, but filter them through reason. Stay courteous, stay kind, but keep your emotional gates locked until time has done its job. Watch for consistency, not charisma. Change doesn't need to declare itself. It proves itself. And even then, you are not obligated to rebuild what was broken. Forgiveness isn't an invitation, it's a release. Still, for those who can't fool you with change, there's one more move. It's slow, it's quiet, and it's invasive. When charm no longer works, some manipulators begin testing your boundaries, not by crossing them blatantly, but by nudging them 1 inch at a time. Let's talk about how subtle pressure becomes manipulation, and why the Stoic sees it coming before it breaks the door down. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. Number 5. They push your boundaries subtly. When someone manipulative realizes they've lost control over you, they rarely walk away without trying to regain ground. But instead of storming the gates, they test the walls quietly. They start small. Maybe it's a harmless seeming, just thinking about you text, or a vague comment on something you posted. It's the digital equivalent of tapping the glass to see if it'll crack. These aren't innocent gestures. They're probes, small, calculated moves designed to measure whether your boundaries are real or just temporary reactions. If you respond, they take it as permission. If you explain, they treat it as negotiation. And if you ignore them, they escalate, just slightly. until they hit something solid or find a way back in. This is the stage where people often get pulled back into cycles they thought they'd left behind. Not because the manipulator did something extreme, but because the pressure was subtle, familiar. It felt easier to reply than to hold the line, easier to be polite than firm. But in Stoic philosophy, boundaries aren't declared through words. They're lived through discipline. Epictetus taught that the only thing truly in our control is our own response. We can't control the tests others give us, but we can control the gate. And sometimes, the strongest boundary is silence. I watched this happen to someone named Jordan. After months of recognizing a pattern of emotional manipulation and gaslighting from someone close, she finally set a clear boundary. No more contact. She was firm, calm, and respectful. But the other person didn't fight it. They didn't argue. They waited. A few weeks later came a message, short, friendly, and vague, just enough to stir doubt, to reopen the emotional door. Then came the shared joke in a group thread. A mutual friend saying, "They asked about you the other day, said they miss your energy." It was all so light, so accidental, so familiar. But every single moment was a test, and Jordan almost responded. Not because she forgot what happened, but because she didn't want to seem cold. That's what manipulation exploits. Not your weakness, but your strength, your kindness, your desire to be fair. The Stoic path doesn't tell you to be cruel. It tells you to be unshakable. You don't owe explanations to people who've already ignored the truth. You don't have to respond to every whisper meant to bait you back into dysfunction. Your peace isn't rude, it's protective. Holding the boundary, especially when it's quiet and consistent, sends a stronger message than any confrontation ever could. And over time, that message becomes undeniable. I am no longer available for your games. Still, not everyone takes that message gracefully. When subtle pressure doesn't work, when you don't crack under charm, guilt, or silence, the manipulator often makes one last move. They turn away from you and toward others. They start building a story, not to bring you back, but to discredit you for good. That's where we go next. Because when someone can't control your perspective, they'll try to control how others see you instead. Let's talk about isolation, defamation, and how Stoicism gives you the strength to rise above both. Number 6, they isolate or discredit you. When every attempt to manipulate you directly fails, when guilt, charm, sabotage, and subtle pressure all break against the wall you've built, many manipulators resort to one final tactic: isolation. If they can't control you anymore, they'll try to control how others see you. They move behind the scenes, whispering just enough to plant doubt in the minds of those around you. It's never a full-on attack, more like erosion. They frame you as distant, unstable, or difficult. They might say they're worried about you, or claim they just want peace, all while rewriting the story to make themselves look reasonable and you the problem. It's psychological warfare disguised as concern. This strategy hits hard because it shakes your sense of reality. Suddenly, people you trusted go quiet. Invitations vanish. Opportunities slip away. You're not imagining it. It's real, and it's designed to isolate you, to make you feel alone, unsure, and more likely to fold. That's the manipulator's hope. Not to destroy you outright, but to wear you down enough that you come back or stay quiet. In this moment, Stoic philosophy becomes a lifeline. The instinct is to fight back, to explain, to defend and correct the narrative. But Stoicism teaches restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the one thing worth clinging to in this life is to live truthfully and rightly, and to be patient with those who don't. That's not passivity. That's power. You don't campaign for allies. You don't chase every rumor. You keep showing up in alignment with who you are. You let the long arc of truth outlast the short rush of gossip. A Stoic knows that a true reputation doesn't need rescuing, it just needs time. Your character, lived consistently, becomes the proof no smear campaign can erase. People who matter will see through the performance. People who don't, you don't need them in your corner anyway. Clarity, not control, is your weapon. It won't win applause today, but it will protect your peace tomorrow. It's not easy. The silence can feel suffocating. The false stories sting, especially when they come from someone who once claimed to care. But in that pain, there's a deeper freedom. You realize you no longer need to manage other people's opinions. You just need to manage your integrity, and that's something they can't touch. The Stoic doesn't seek revenge, only alignment. You live so clearly, so truthfully, that anything built on lies collapses on its own. No counterattack, no smear response, just quiet, unwavering discipline. That's how you win. Not just against them, but for yourself. And when all the games stop, when their efforts lose power and your clarity remains, what's left is something rare, true freedom. A peace that doesn't need performance, proof, or permission. That's the power of seeing through the act and staying grounded while it crumbles. If you've ever felt alone in this kind of battle, know this: you're not, and you're not powerless. The wisdom of the Stoics lives on because it still works. It's not just philosophy, it's survival. If these insights spoke to you, drop a yes in the comments. Your thoughts matter. I'd love to hear from you. When a manipulative person realizes you've seen through them, the games begin. But here's the truth: you're not here to play. You're here to rise. The moment you stopped being fooled was the moment you reclaimed your power. And that power doesn't scream. It doesn't chase. It stands still, solid and unwavering. That's what the Stoics knew. In a world full of masks and manipulation, clarity is rebellion. Peace is your shield. Integrity is your answer. If you've been through this, if someone changed the moment they realized you weren't buying it, leave a comment. Tell your story. You're not alone. Every time we share the truth, we take one step away from confusion and closer to freedom. And if this message resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, hit subscribe, and share it with someone walking through the fire of fake people. They need to know they're not crazy. They're just finally awake. The more we learn to respond with wisdom, not war, the stronger we become. You've got this. Stay sharp. Stay strong. Stay unshakable. And I'll see you in the next one.